Hello, Internet. It's time for the first episode of Crap on Deck, where I look at games and their performance on, what else? The Steam Deck. Today's episode is powered by caffeine and vitriol. For the first episode, I wanted to start out with a game that's been hitting the charts on Steam these past few weeks, and one that I've put a good amount of time into myself, V Rising. V Rising, of course, is the breakout hit by Stunlock Studios, a vampire survival crafting game where you play as a vampire lord who just wants to live the American dream, improve their trade skills, live in peace and quiet with a few servants in a self-built castle in the woods, and occasionally feed on townsfolk. Now, if you look at V Rising on Steam's compatibility list, the game is currently tagged as unknown. This doesn't give us much information. So, here I am. So everyone wants to know, is V Rising compatible with the Steam Deck? And the answer is yes. Maybe, possibly, kind of. Throw in a bunch of asterisks and footnotes and let's get on to more detail. I do want to express here that I'm recording this on June 2nd, 2022, and V Rising is in very early access. That's what the V stands for. If you're watching this months in the future, check the description to see if I've made a follow-up video. V Rising works on the Steam Deck, with a bit of a caveat, and I say that knowing that the first thing people will do is download the game, boot it, and watch it immediately crash to desktop, assuming it doesn't also hard reboot your Steam Deck, which it did for me the first time. Unless you're one of those very few lucky people for whom the game seems to work fine outside the box, and good for you if it does. Odds are, in order to make V Rising launch period, you're going to have to go into the settings and force compatibility with Proton Experimental. If it's your first time ticking Proton Experimental, you're going to see Steam download it. It's another 300 megabyte download, and I think it works universally after that with other games that need it. Performance-wise, V Rising runs pretty consistently in the mid-30s in frame rate, with occasional dips into the 20s at high settings, and from time to time I noticed it going into the 40s. I didn't get any performance boosts by lowering the settings, but your mileage may vary. The biggest hurdle to V Rising on the Steam Deck is the fact that the game does not presently support controllers, period. So this isn't like other games where the generic controller support can just translate over to the deck. The game will automatically download you a community build with the Steam controller in mind. Don't use that. Your best bet, at least now, is to download and fiddle with the version specifically made for the deck by user Turulo. It's not perfect, but it's better than the default. Because the lack of controller support makes quickly doing anything in V Rising difficult, the deck is probably best used for casual resource gathering while in bed, on the couch, or taking an exceptionally long dump. You'd want to avoid anything that requires quickly swapping items or chugging potions, because you're definitely not going to be doing any of that with speed and efficiency. If you're using the deck hooked up to an external display, most of these problems can be fixed with a wireless keyboard and mouse. I assume most of you watching this are planning on buying and using the deck as a supplement to your gaming PC, and to use it mostly or exclusively in handheld mode, so you're not really going to get much use out of the wireless keyboard and mouse. And while I wouldn't go as far as saying that V Rising is compatible with the Steam Deck, it does work on it, albeit with lower frame rates and with controls that, even with custom rigging, are going to be a problem until Stunlock comes out with real controller support. And I'd like to reiterate that as an early access game, that V Rising's compatibility could change at any time. It could get better, it could get worse. We don't know. Definitely don't buy the deck specifically to play V Rising on it, at least not at this time. If you want more crap on deck, like and subscribe. If you have a game you want me to talk about or look into, leave a comment below and I'll try to add it to the list. I don't have a set schedule for how long in between releasing these, and I'm sure I'll have criteria that change over time, but I'm going to try to actually continue this series. Thank you.